the Or Gedalia like this. He says, Ka'asher kawah ha'adam gadol. I mentioned the anakim, they're giants. They ruled the whole world. He says, when a person is that great, shocheyach et hakadosh baruch hu. He tends to forget God. V'chowach negdi le'eshhatat ha'olam merubeh. And now he feels that he's in control and he could do whatever he wants in the world. Haya lahem beracha v'shefa kol kach gadol. They had an abundance of wealth, abundance of prosperity, of beracha, of parnasa. Ve'amiru, but they said, Ma shaddai kina abdenu. Why do we have to worship God? I mean, they failed, they tend to fail to realize that He's the one controlling everything, but they thought that they're controlling everything. So why should we worship God? Ve'amiru. And they said, O anahnu, O ata. It's either us or you. We worship ourselves. We're the ones in control. It's not you. Ma'aminim sheyesh yom hadin. They believe that after 120 years they'll be judged. Aval bentayim. But in the interim, na'aseh ma sherotzim. Let's do what we want. After 120 years, I'll deal with it. I'll get good lawyers, good advocates. I'll deal with it after. But in the interim, let me do what I want to do. So what happens? Says the pasuk in last week's parasha. Bayar Hashem ki rabba ra'at ha'adam ba'aretz v'chol yetzer machshebot libo rak ra' kol hayom. Hashem said, they've reached a point of no return. They're so bad. V'yinachem Hashem ki asa et ha'adam ba'aretz. So to speak, Hashem regretted creating man. Because He created man to serve Him, and now He's doing the opposite. V'yomer Hashem, and what does Hashem say? Emche et ha'adam asher barati me'al penei ha'adama ki nehamti ki'asidim. I'm going to erase everybody. And now, all of a sudden, in the middle of everything, Noah matzahen be'anei Hashem. Comes Noah, steps right in Noah, and Noah is the only one who finds favor in God's eyes. We'll see why. While you have the whole world upside down, the whole world getting destroyed, we have one man in the middle of everything that can potentially, remember what I'm saying right now, can potentially save the world and stop all the disaster from happening. But he chooses the other road. He chooses the other way. Noah has the capacity, has the ability, has the potential to save the world from destruction. He does not. Says the Gemara, says the Midrash, pardon me, Bereshit Rabbah. Amar Rabbi Abba bar Kahana. Says Rabbi Abba bar Kahana, what does it mean? Ki nihamti ki asitim ve'noach batzahen. The pasuk says that God regretted creating man, but then you say ve'noach matzahen. Noah is the only one who found favor in God's eyes. Well, make up your mind. Did Hashem regret creating man, or is Noah the good guy? Says the Midrash, Ela afilu Noah, even Noah, shenishtayer mehem lo haya kedai ela shematzahen. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, Noah was also supposed to perish in the Mabul. Haz v'shalom, when I'm making light of the situation that Noah was a Sadiq, he was. But according to the Midrash, that Noah was also guilty of whatever problems were going on in the generation. And the only reason he was saved is because God found favor in his eyes. What it was, we don't know. Matzahen be'anei Hashem. It's funny because the letters Hen make the letters Noah. Right? You take Hen, you flip it around, it's Noah. What exactly was Noah's problem? Let's see the Pesukim. Noah is Sadiq, Tamim haya bedorotav et ha'elohim italech Noah. Let me pause right now. I just read to you 4 words. Et ha'elohim italech Noah. Which means Noah was straight, walking the right path with God. What does that go show me? He wasn't walking the right way with man. He was walking the right way with God. He found favor in God's eyes. He did not find favor in people's eyes. Et ha'elohim hitalech Noah. Good. So Hashem commands Noah, I'm about to get rid of the whole world, bring a major flood. You and your children and the wives are the only ones that are going to be saved, along with the animals. But before that, you have to create a teva, an ark. And what are the measurements? 300 amma. Orech hateva. That's the length. 50 amma ruhba. The width is 50. And the height is 30. Now, why do I need to know exactly the height, the length, the width. I'm not building a teva. It's not that I have now the instructions from Home Depot that I have to create something. I'm never creating a teva. So why do I need to know exactly the measurements of the teva? Well, if Hashem deemed it fit to write in the Torah, that means I have to learn something from it, right? Okay, what do we learn? We'll see. And in the middle of this teva, tzohar ta'aseh la teva. You are to make something called a tzohar. Now, we have no idea what a tzohar is until Rashi fills in the gaps, fills in the empty pieces. And what does Rashi say? Some people say tzohar is a window. Some people say tzohar is a jewel that he had that illuminated the teva. Because imagine this, you're in the teva for 40 days and 40 nights. There's no light. So how do you illuminate the teva? So mahloket, what does tzohar mean? Either a gem that illuminated the teva or a window. Okay. Why does he need a window exactly? Fine. You have to make it 3 levels. We know, Baruch Hashem, we learned in the elementary, the bottom level was the garbage, second level was the animals, and the first level was man. Vayomer Hashem le Noah. Now Hashem tells Noah, Bo ata v'chol betecha el hateva. It is time to enter the teva. Why? Ki otecha ra'iti tzadik lefanai bador hazeh. Because you are the one that I find a tzaddik in my eyes. Which means, ladies and gentlemen, he is not a tzaddik in man's eyes. He wasn't a popular guy, Noah. He wasn't so popular with the people. People didn't really like Noah. But God liked him. If Hashem likes him, that's a good reason to be saved. But the question is, these are the Pesukim. The question is, if Hashem really wants to bring a flood and get rid of the whole world, couldn't Hashem make it that he transport Noah and his whole family to a different country? Because don't forget, the Midrash says that the whole world had the Mabul except which country? Eretz Israel. Eretz Israel is the only country where the Mabul didn't affect it. So Hashem, transport Noah. I mean, you could do anything, right? Transport Noah, put him in Eretz Israel, meanwhile get rid of the flood, and do whatever you want to do afterwards. No, you have to go and construct a teva, 120 years. So we learned when we were in school, because as he's building the teva for 120 years, he's supposed to tell people, do teshuvah. And they're supposed to hear him, and we learned that they didn't hear him. Fine. This is a midrash that we grew up with. It's not an accepted midrash amongst all. Not everybody accepts this midrash. So again, why can't Hashem just make it that, make it that Noah and his family, the ones that are being saved, live in a me'ara, in a cave, like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, right? Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai lived in a me'ara for how many years? 13 years. So what? Noah can't live for 40 days? Are you going to tell me, what about the animals? So just like Hashem created the animals on the 6th day, he could create the animals anew. I mean, these are things that Hashem could do. If Hashem could do everything, out of all the things Hashem tells him, no, I want you to build a teva and sit in the teva. Now mind you, it's a stinky teva. There's animals, there's garbage. It wasn't pleasant for 40 days and 40 nights. And I mean, it says, Shalosh me'ot, hamishim amma, shaloshim amma. But with all those measurements, it's still cramped. Because you have lions, you have zebras, you have elephants, you have animals on the teva. How did they get there in the first place? That's another nis. That's a miracle. How did they enter? But you have all these animals cramped in this teva. I mean, it's not a pleasant situation. It's not an ideal situation. So Hashem, if you want to save Noah and his family, why don't you make it easier for Noah than constructing this whole teva? So I saw over here, Sefer Tzeror Hamor. Tzeror Hamor, ladies and gentlemen, his granddaughter married Rabbi Yosef Karo, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, which we're talking about the 16th century, talking about the greats. So he says over here, he says, אף על פי שכולם חטאו בהמות וחיות ועופות. They all sinned. Animals, wild animals, tamed animals, poultry, birds. וכן נוח חטא. Noah also sinned. Why? בשלו התפלל על דורו. Because Noah saw what was happening and Noah did not beseech God to save the generation from the Mabul. Let's take the midrash we quoted earlier. Let's say that everybody accepts this midrash, that he is supposed to build a teva for 120 years because he's supposed to tell people to do teshuvah. Fine. Now, there's one thing telling people to do teshuvah. There's another thing by going and praying to God, Hashem, instead of me telling the people to do tshuva, Hashem, just please, because of my zechuyot, was my merits, make it, don't bring a tip, don't bring a mabul. There's one thing talking to the guy direct, and there's another thing talking to the one that could stop the mabul, which is God. But Noah did not do that. Noah lo hitpalel al doro. This is the class tonight. Noah did not pray for his generation. And what does God do? Anash otam biotam nizgarim bateba shenem asar chodesh. Now the mabul, ladies and gentlemen, was 40 days and 40 nights. But how long were they in the ark? 1 year. Why? Ki mishpat reshaim. This is very, very hard words, harsh words also. Mishpat reshaim bagehinam shenem asar chodesh. We should never know when we lose a loved one, mainly a father or a mother, we should never know, but we have to say Kaddish for 11 months.